My husband, 40 years old, and I, 34 years old, have been married for 4 years. I entered my stepdaughter's 16 years old life when she was 10. She and my stepson, who is currently 12 years old, experienced some neglect and exhibited behavioral problems when I first encountered them. My husband and his ex-partner are not bad parents, but he travels frequently for work, and she can be a bit unreliable and self-centered. My stepdaughter and I got along very well, and I love both my stepchildren. We all work together in parenting, with me taking on a more active role in their school and other activities. Both my husband and his ex-wife were happy with me handling most of the responsibilities for the kids. They both travel often, so I became the only parent fully involved. I own a 3-bedroom house that I inherited from my parents, and my husband and the kids moved in with me. The kids love their rooms and their lives in our town. The custody arrangement is supposed to be 50-50, but since their mother doesn't have as much space, the kids stay here almost all the time. Several months ago, I came back from an overnight school excursion with my stepson to discover my stepdaughter deeply distressed. She discovered her parents together in my bedroom and was distressed about the infidelity. I was devastated to hear this. Upon further inquiry, I discovered that their affair had been happening for several months, perhaps even a year. I've been trying to get pregnant for the past 2 years, and our frequent intimate moments made it especially upsetting to learn that my husband was involved with someone else. I filed for divorce and asked him to leave. He doesn't want the marriage to end and seems convinced that I'll change my mind. However, he agreed to a separation and has moved out to an apartment. My stepdaughter is angry with both her parents and wants to continue living with me. Neither of them is taking steps to move the kids, who are still living in their rooms and acting as if nothing has changed. I would have been fine with having the kids stay with me, but my issue is that both my husband and the kids' mother feel free to come into my house whenever they want because their children are here. She feels no guilt about the affair and acts as if I am the intruder. She treats me like a nanny, expecting me to continue taking care of the kids while leaving me with instructions and criticisms. Meanwhile, my ex frequently visits under the pretense of seeing the kids but keeps trying to persuade me to let him move back in. I love my stepdaughter and don't want to do anything to hurt her further, but I can't continue living like this. The level of distress and frustration I experience regarding my spouse and his former partner is intense, and it's challenging to continue handling the situation. The audacity they have to treat me this way is making me very upset. I don't know what to do about the kids. Everyone in my life expects me to endure and do what's best for them. I love them, but this situation is becoming unbearable. Update 1. I tried submitting an update to Aita, but it didn't go through. I'm posting the update here because I'd like some support and suggestions, and you have been so helpful before. I went through all the comments, but everything backfired shortly after, and I stayed offline for a period. Following the advice I received, I spoke with several lawyers to see what I could do in this situation. Regrettably, what I uncovered was disheartening, and the retainer fee for a lawyer in a custody dispute is prohibitively expensive. With the separation, my financial situation is quite tight, and I can't afford to pursue this issue legally. I've been stressed and working late recently. The day after I made the post, I was going to be late getting home and had asked my stepdaughter to reheat the frozen lasagna I had prepared for dinner. When I arrived home, I found both kids having a meal with the ex-partner and their mother. I'll refer to her as MM. Em had decided to turn it into a family dinner, setting out the food I made on my formal dining table with my nice dishes. She had created a cozy family moment with her and the ex-partner under my roof. I completely lost it at that point. I regret to say I acted horribly, yelling at her and my ex-partner and telling them to leave my house. This happened in front of my stepson, who was quite shocked, as I had previously kept him out of most of this mess. After my breakdown, I needed some time away, so I drove to spend the weekend with my cousin. My stepdaughter wanted to come with me, so we left my stepson with his father. My stepdaughter was very kind to me and understood why I was upset. She hadn't invited her parents. Her mother showed up and then invited the ex-partner for dinner. My stepdaughter hadn't anticipated that I would react so strongly. Frankly, I'm astonished at my own reaction. That's not how I usually am. After we returned, I told Em that she shouldn't come over anymore, and if she did, I would report her for trespassing. Em didn't believe me and came over to talk, and I lost my temper with her. This time, I called the police. They politely asked her to leave, and she complied. SS was very upset with me for this. The next day, M came back, acting all sweet and telling me that I was being unreasonable. Unfortunately, I lost my composure, swore, and yelled at her. SS shoved me and yelled at me to be silent. I fell and was stunned into silence. M was also quite surprised and left immediately, while SS ran and locked himself in his room. He called his father to come get him, but his father was out of town, and M ignored his calls. SS is a very affectionate child, so his reaction was heartbreaking. I comprehend his emotions, as M is his mother. M is also a very attractive person who seems very kind and delicate. She is the type of person people are quick to help. It is natural for SS to feel protective of her. I didn't expect him to turn against me, though. The rest of the week was difficult, with SS angry at me and refusing to speak to me. When his father returned to town, he came to pick him up. SS informed him that he no longer wished to reside with me. A few days later, X wanted me to take SS back, but the child didn't want to return. I told X I would not force him, and X became quite angry with me. He wanted me to resolve the situation somehow. When I declined to force SS to stay with me, X turned very aggressive. He said many hurtful things, the worst being that he was relieved I didn't get pregnant because he thought I would make a terrible mother. I was worried things would turn out this way, but I've managed to get X and M out of my house, which is a relief. SD will remain with me until she departs for college. X is struggling to find childcare for SS and is so angry with me that I believe he won't delay the divorce any further. I want to mend things with SS, but a big part of me is afraid to do anything that might bring his parents back into my life. I genuinely don't grasp M's actions and motivations in this situation. She wanted to be with X, and I had stepped away, so everything was hers. If she wanted her children, there was nothing I could do about that. If she didn't want her children, I was already taking care of them. Yet, she kept violating my boundaries with a smile and seemed surprised that I wasn't happy about it. Right now, neither she nor X wants to be the daily parent to SS, but he is so angry at me that he doesn't want to choose me. I feel deeply hurt about this. Update 2. There have been no significant legal developments since my last post. Emotionally, it has been a roller coaster. Many people have suggested that I should let SD go and that it is unhealthy for her to stay with me. That may be true in theory, but it's not something I want to do. I encountered X a few years following the passing of my parents. I was very close to them, and their deaths were hard on me. I struggled with a lot of depression during that time. My boyfriend at the time broke up with me, and I lost many friends. When we started dating, I was emerging from my sadness but was still very lonely. SD and I quickly became each other's support. She felt neglected by her parents and had resentment toward them, and I suppose she appreciated the attention I gave her. I found her to be a loving child, and I enjoyed bonding with her. I was also close with SS while he loved his mother. I assumed he was closer to me. One of SD's grievances with her parents was their disinterest and dismissiveness towards her extracurricular activities, which led to her failing in some areas she was passionate about. She is involved in a sport I am familiar with, so I spent a lot of time training with her and taking her to her events and classes. She is now very skilled at it, and it may lead to scholarships and possibly getting into the college she is interested in. She is diligent and driven, and I aim to support her as much as possible. She has promised to keep her parents out of our home, and I hope she sticks to that until she leaves for college. My ex has been very angry and complaining to me through messages. I have stopped answering his calls and don't reply to his emails. I've told him that the only topic I will discuss with him is divorce and only through my lawyer. So he's been speaking badly about me to many of our mutual acquaintances. A few people have gently criticized me for leaving SS. One even said that women who become stepmoms should understand what they are agreeing to, and a real mother wouldn't leave her children. I am not good with conflicts and haven't been able to respond properly. I've pretty much isolated myself from people to avoid hearing comments like these. M is still blocked by me and hasn't tried to reach out, which is a huge relief. A week after my last post, my sister-in-law visited me. She lives 3 hours away, so I was quite nervous that she was making the long drive just to talk to me. I suggested meeting in a restaurant, and she agreed. I was also worried about talking to her because while she has been polite and nice with me, she is M's friend. She told me that my ex had asked her to talk to me about SS, and she completely disagrees with him on that. She said I've been a great stepmom to SS, but he is not my responsibility. My ex was honest with her about his affair, and she supports my decision to get divorced. She said a lot of supportive things about moving on and taking care of myself, and also thanked me for continuing to care for SD. That was nice. But then she mentioned that she wasn't surprised by the affair at all. She was surprised that my ex married me. She implied that M is much better than me, prettier, more successful, and more charming, and my ex would jump at the chance to be with her. Hearing that was really upsetting. I now find it simple to acknowledge that I wasn't the clever one in this situation since I didn't anticipate it whatsoever. I was joyful and deeply in love with my family. The good news from that meeting is that my ex has stopped harassing me. I haven't received any communication from him since, and I believe he has ceased discussing me with others as well. I don't have any updates on SS yet, though SD told me he's all right and looking forward to the summer vacation. Some of you suggested that M might be interested in taking my house. I don't think so. She does well on her own and has a good career. She leads a rather extravagant lifestyle and lives in a very fancy 2-bedroom apartment in the city, while my house is in a family-friendly but rather plain suburb. I hope things continue to be calm, because I need to clear my mind and focus on work, or I might get fired. My job is the only thing going well for me right now. Update. We had a court date and the judge ordered mediation, delaying things for a few more months. I was hoping this would be the end since we don't have children together and I want nothing from my ex. I didn't bring up custody for SD or SS, and neither did he. All I want is a divorce and to keep what I brought into the marriage, my house and my car. My ex isn't contesting those, but he still says he doesn't want a divorce. It's frustrating. He left me 2 messages asking to talk, which I have ignored. The mediation will be over Zoom, which seems more comfortable to me than an in-person meeting. SD and I are doing well living together. M is silent, and there's been no news from SS so far. Update 4. I divorced. The papers are signed, and the judge has finalized everything. I am so relieved. I was worried this would drag on longer. The first mediation meeting was a mess, with my ex trying to push for marriage counseling. However, the mediator was very firm and kept the discussions under control. We had a few more mediation sessions, and he agreed to finalize everything. I was still nervous about how it would go today, but my ex was cooperative and signed off on everything. A pleasant surprise was that he willingly handed over our entire joint savings account to me. I wasn't expecting that. I had asked for half, but in reality he contributed more than I did. I would have been fine with just my share, but he surprised me by giving me all the money. It was our emergency savings, so it's not a huge amount but a nice 5-figure sum. I am so relieved. Money had become tight with lawyer fees and other expenses, so this helps. Emotionally, it also improved my self-esteem. I may be wrong, but my heart wants to see this as his way of acknowledging that he wronged me and I deserve something in return. Update 5. Okay, not really an update, more like a vent. I can express things here that I am unable to discuss in real life. I am putting on a big show of being happy and social in real life, but honestly, I am so very miserable and sad. In the first couple of months, I pushed through out of pure determination to reinvent myself, but it's turning into sadness. I had been avoiding hearing anything about my ex-partner or M, but my stepdaughter has been having some issues and she expressed to me how upset she is with her parents, mostly her mother. My ex-partner and M didn't last long. They had been having fights and problems well before my divorce was finalized. M immediately started seeing someone new, and from what I hear, she is happy in this new relationship. She is so involved that she hasn't met her children in the past 2 months, only communicating through video calls. My ex-partner had to manage many things to adjust his work schedule and arrange reliable childcare for his stepson. He is also dating now a much younger woman. My ex-partner and M used to co-parent well, but I guess I was the one really doing that because right now they dislike each other and barely talk. One might think that seeing them fall apart would make me happy, but it only makes me more frustrated. My world was completely disrupted, the children's joyful home was shattered, and all for what? I long for my previous life immensely. A lot of it was based on falsehoods, but I was so happy and had a sense of purpose back then. I feel very lost right now. I have tried dating and have been on many dates, but they have all been disappointing or unsuitable. Those around me have been introducing me to men who are divorced fathers, and while I mean no disrespect, I can't endure that situation once more. I actually had one date that felt more like an interview for a nanny position. It made me very sad. My stepdaughter is doing great, and that brings me a lot of joy. I am a little anxious about the time, coming soon, when she will move out, and it will be just me in this large house. I have talked to my former stepson on the phone a few times. He has grown up and changed so much that it feels like we were separated for years. He is going to stay over during the Halloween weekend, and I am quite excited about that. My stepdaughter was going to babysit him at my ex-partner's place while he is traveling, but I agreed to have him stay with us since it's Halloween. Update 6. I don't know if anyone will see this update after all this time, but I had left this at a sad note a couple of years ago, and that doesn't feel right. I had stepped away from Reddit because I was receiving a lot of negative messages. Certain individuals were mocking me and using derogatory terms. Most of you have been very supportive and helpful, but a few mean messages still affected me. My life has improved since then. I stopped dating and gave up on online apps. I made a few friends and stayed busy with an active life, a good career, and hobbies. Ultimately, I encountered my present companion during a trekking excursion. My daughter has consistently brought happiness into my life, and we share a strong bond. She presents me to others as her chosen mother chuckles, and I don't call her a stepdaughter. She is doing well in college, growing into a wonderful person, and my home is her home when she visits from school. Things are a bit more complicated with my former stepson. He has made it evident that he does not wish for me to be a parental presence in his life and is not inclined to develop a close relationship with me. I respect that. I maintain communication with him, but only as a remote acquaintance. We share jokes and occasionally dine together. He is in therapy for depression and anger issues, so I don't want to cut ties completely. Regarding my present partner, this is the most fulfilling romantic relationship I've ever had, and I am extremely content. I am now pregnant in the 2nd trimester, and we are both excited. The pregnancy was unexpected, but I am thrilled about it. I tried so hard to get pregnant in my previous marriage, and all that effort and medical interventions didn't help. Now I am pregnant despite using condoms. The relationship is yet in its early stages, and I am moving forward with care. One of the most delightful aspects is that his family is fantastic. His parents are extremely warm and welcoming individuals who have already embraced my daughter as their grandchild and are thrilled about the baby.